Namaste students, welcome to our today's session. So today's session we are going to see network security. Before we enter into network security, let us see a short recap of the previous session. So last session we saw network protocols. So in that network protocols, what is a network protocol? What are the different types of protocols like HTTP, FTP, TCP/IP, email, chat, video conferencing, and the generations 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, etc. So hope you all have revised all those topics which we have seen in the previous session. So now this week we are going to move on to the next part, network security. So under network security, what are the topics we are going to cover today? So I've given you a gist of the topics which we are going to see today. Network security concepts, threats and prevention from viruses, worms, Trojan horse, spams, use of cookies, protection using firewall, HTTPs, India IT Act, cyber law, cyber crimes, IPR issues, hacking. So we'll move on to the introduction of what is network security. Network security. The name itself says that you are going to secure a network. It may be any kind of network, any type of network. That network, we are going to secure it. So any person, any individual, or even an organization may have a network. See, you may have a home network, or any organization can have a LAN network, right? So we have different we have many types, many computers connected. So we have a LAN network in our computer lab. Similarly, there may be many organizations, many companies. They may have network on their own for their own purpose. So these networks, when they are secured, it is called network security. So network security refers to the measures taken by any enterprise or organization to secure its computer network and data using both hardware and software systems. So an organization, for example, a company, a very famous MNC company or an IT company, they may have a different network for their own purpose, specialized network for their own purpose, for their own job completion. They may have a different type of network and different specialized network for them. So when they have a network, they may store a huge amount of data which has to be very much confidential, which should not be let it to anybody, only to their organization, their own people. The data has to be the data should be revealed, and the data has to be secured from outsiders. So when such things has to be established, that properly the network have to be secured. So that security is called network security. So it may be secured both by a hardware or a software system. So in this chapter we are going to see what is the security provided, what are the things can be done, how can we prevent data stealing, or how can we prevent a network being stolen. All these things we are going to see in this chapter. So this aims at securing the confidentiality and accessibility of the data and network. Every company or organization that handles large amount of data has a degree of solutions against many cyber threats. So every company or organization who is handling a large amount of data definitely need to secure their network and secure their data too. How they are securing their network, how they are securing their data is what we are going to see. Okay. Security of a computer system is a crucial task. It is a process of ensuring confidentiality and integrity of the operating system. A system is said to be secure if its resources are used and accessed as intended under all the circumstances, but no system can guarantee absolute security from several of the various malicious threats and unauthorized access. Security of system can be threatened through two violations. There are two methods, two rules to be followed for breaking the security of a system. So that is called threatening. So number one is threat and number two is attack. What is a threat? A program which has the potential to cause serious damage to the system. Threat means, see, sometimes there may be some viruses. What is a virus? Normally, what is a virus? Something which is not acceptable by our body is called a virus. So when there is a virus affected in our body, naturally we get fever, our body starts malfunctioning, the regular functioning of our body gets damaged. The same way, when there is an attack of a virus into a computer, naturally the computer starts malfunction, so the regular functioning of the computer gets affected. So that is called a threat. It is a program which is designed to damage the functioning of a system, damage the regular functioning of a system. That is called a threat. Okay, so when a program has been designed in order to damage the system, that is called a threat. Attack: an attempt to break security and make unauthorized use of an asset. Sometimes the system may not get affected, but the data can be stolen, the data can be taken away, breaking the security of the network, then that is called attack. Okay, so security of a system can be affected by two ways, two violations. They are threat and attack. Threat means a program which entirely damages the system. Attack means which breaks the security and takes away, steals away the data alone. That is called attack. Threats can be classified into the following two categories. Again, threat can be categorized into two categories. One is program threat and number two is system threat. What is a program threat? A program written by a cracker to hijack the security or to change the behavior of a normal process. See, already I told you threat means which damages the system. Then program threat means what? It is a program written to change the normal behavior of a system. So that is called program threat. System threat. These threats involve the abuse of system services. They strive to create a situation in which operating system resources and files are misused. System threats are nothing but the resources of the computer system. What do you mean by the resources of the computer system? The devices, at the same time the applications which are used in the operating system. When such applications are get damaged or any resources of a computer get damaged, that is called system threats. Clear? Program threats are programs written by crackers or hackers to which change the behavior of a normal process in a computer. System threats which affects the resources, especially the operating system resources. When it gets affected, when it is misused, when any application is being misused, then that is called system threat. Types of program threats. So we are going to enter into program threats now. Under program threats, there are different threats which will threaten our security, which will affect our security. What are they? Virus, an infamous threat known most widely. It is a self-replicating and a malicious threat which attaches itself to a system file and then rapidly replicates itself, modifying and destroying essential files, leading to a system breakdown. See, virus is nothing but, as I told you earlier, when a virus affects our body starts malfunctioning, right? So similarly, a computer virus is nothing but it is not a bacteria or anything. It is just a program created by an anonymous person. Anybody may create a virus. It is in the form of a program. So when such program are used in any app or any operating system, it damages the regular functioning of a computer. Hope you know what is a virus, right? So it is one of the program threat which affects the computer system. Next, Trojan horse. It is also a kind of virus. So it is called as a Trojan horse virus. So a Trojan horse is a type of malicious code or software. Normally a virus is nothing but a software. Software is nothing but set of programs. So a Trojan horse is also a kind of a software or a program or a code that looks legitimate but can take control of your computer. So what does this Trojan horse virus do? It takes the complete control of your computer. A Trojan is designed to damage, disrupt, steal, or in general inflict some other harmful action on your data or network. Not specifically, we cannot say that this Trojan horse can do this a process only, it will affect this only, or it will delete the files or like that. So anything may happen in your computer system. Anything which happens in your computer system that is done by your Trojan horse. It may be a deletion of a file, it may be a stealing of the data, or it may be damaging your resources, whatever it is that is done by your Trojan horse. So we cannot guess what actually the Trojan horse does, but it damages the system. A Trojan is sometimes called a Trojan virus or a Trojan horse virus, but that's a misnomer. Viruses can execute and replicate themselves, a Trojan cannot. See, normally a virus can replicate themselves. Hope you know what you mean by replicate. It creates more copies, it creates many number of copies on its own. Usually one program will be executed in an app. A virus program, if it is executed in an app, naturally it starts replicating itself, means many copies of that program will be created automatically. That is called replication. Replicates. So normally a virus replicates itself, but a Trojan horse will not replicate itself, but still it damages the system. So it does not replicate itself. It means that a user has to manually execute the Trojan. So by mistake also, if you execute the Trojan horse virus, so it starts working, it starts damaging the system. So normally when the moment the Trojan is being used in our apps or computers, it does not get executed automatically. It is executed only by the user. So it does not replicate itself. It is being executed only by the user. Worms. This worm is also a virus, is also a malicious program which affects the computer. At the same time, this worm replicates itself. Means of replication is nothing but it creates own copies. So here I've given you highlighted the text recursively. Recursively means repeatedly. So repeatedly this worm viruses replicates itself. Repeatedly these programs are being created automatically. So an infection program which spreads through networks. Unlike a virus, they target mainly LANs. LAN means local area networks. So these viruses affect the local area networks. A computer affected by a worm attacks the target system and writes a small program hook on it. So when a computer which has got a worm virus onto it, it affects the target system and writes a small program hook on it. It naturally creates a own virus. Again, another worm will be created by that worm. So automatically it creates a hook on it. So with that hook, another virus of worm will be created. So that is called replication and repeated recursively. So this hook is further used to copy the worm to the target computer. This process repeats recursively. I have highlighted the word recursively, and soon enough, all the systems of the LAN are affected. It uses the spawn mechanism to duplicate itself. What is a spawn? Spawn is nothing but as the fishes lay eggs. This worms naturally, it automatically replicates itself by creating more number of copies of it. The next topic is spam. This you might have heard. Everyone would have email IDs, would have email messages. So you would have naturally heard about the spam messages is nothing but junk mails, right? So many people rely on the internet nowadays for many of the professional, social and personal activities. But there are also people who attempt to damage our internet connected computers. See, normally we people use internet for our own professional or social or personal activities, but there are people who are very much interested in damaging the internet activities or damaging the internet connected computers, right? So email is a universal service used by over a billion people worldwide. So email is a universal service used by over a billion people worldwide. So we know very well nowadays email has become one of our preliminary day-to-day activities, right? So as one of the most, even when you buy a mobile, when you wanted to use a sim, you are supposed to give a Gmail account, and then you are able to access whatever apps in your mobiles. So email has become nowadays a very important, it plays a very important role. So it's a universal service used by over a billion people worldwide. As one of the most popular services, email has become a major vulnerability to users and organizations. Spam, it is also known as junk mail, is unsolicited mail. Junk mail means what? Unwanted mails. See, sometimes when you open your mail ID inbox, you might have created a new email ID, right? You might have created a new email ID. You would not have given your email IDs to any of your friends even. But the moment you create a new email ID, you naturally your inbox get messages automatically. So how these messages are sent to your inboxes automatically? It is traced by someone. Usually your network will be always traced out by somebody, but that is done in the safer side also by the government, or unsafer side also illegally. So like that, your email IDs and your mobile numbers are being traced out by some organizations or some any individuals also, so that naturally unwanted messages would be stored onto your inboxes. It may be advertisements from or any job, regarding your job vacancies, or any advertisements for any purposes, right? So those mails which are not required for you, they are called junk mail. Spam, also known as junk mail, is unsolicited email. In most cases, spam is a method of advertising. However, spam can send harmful links, malware, or deceptive content. The end goal is to obtain sensitive information such as a social security number or bank account information. So, what is the goal of the spam messages? They will give you some advertisements. You can get this much amount of cash prizes when you click on this link, like that. Some unwanted mails they send you, and they start getting your bank account numbers. So when you provide the account numbers, it is easy for them to trace out the amount you have deposited in your banks, and it is easy for them to steal your account details and your money even. So most spam comes from multiple computers or networks infected by a virus or worm. So spam is not comes from a single computer. Many people, many organizations, many individuals, many companies, they start creating this spam naturally, and every time, see, even in your mobiles, every time you get some messages. Nobody send you SMS nowadays. We use only WhatsApps, right? But still your messages inbox would be stored full. How? Your sim cards, what company sim cards you use, that company itself may send you some offers or some messages which are either required for you or not required for you. So these messages are called spam. There are options to delete this spam. So when you wanted to avoid this spam junk mails, you can delete the you can avoid such junk mails in your inbox. There are options provided also. So look at this picture. Spam is unwanted mails. A hacker using a computer sends spam messages to many computers. So they are the victims of spam. Cookies. What is a cookie? A cookie, called an internet or web cookie, is a term given to describe a type of message that is given to a web browser by a web server. Web browser by a web server. What is a web browser? So you have Google Chrome in your mobiles, UC browser, Google Chrome, etc. So they are called web browsers. Clear? So when these web browsers gives messages to a web server, what kind of message it will give? Can you tell me? See, suppose when you open some websites, it may ask you to enter some login. You may be asked to enter some login IDs, passwords, etc. Only then it will enter into that website. So once you have entered login, once you have created your login IDs and passwords, the next time when you move on to the same website, automatically the web browsers will provide your login ID password information to the web server, and automatically the website gets opened. Okay. So who is giving intimation to the server? Who is getting connected with your web browser to your server? It's your cookies. Clear? And to give you a small example, suppose when you type in Google, when you start typing a letter, when you start typing an alphabet, the moment you start typing, it gives you some hint, some options to get over easily, to easily connect to the get your details, right? So where the moment you start typing, some list of options are displayed. That may be your recent activities which you have done, or it may be or any other related to the text which you have typed. That is called a cookie. For example, if you start typing BA, it naturally starts typing giving ball, BALL, it will give you some options. Or the recent activities which you have started with B, it may show you some options. So that list of options which are provided by the server to the web browser, that is called a cookie. Example is given when you enter a website using cookies. So as a website which is using cookies, so when you enter a website also, it may indicate you that this website is using cookies. Do you want to enable it? Have you come across such a situation? So in that time, at that time you may be asked to log in onto it, to the website which has got cookies. So you may be asked to fill out a form. So when the website uses cookies, you may be asked to fill out a form providing your personal information like your name and email IDs especially. This information is packaged into a cookie and sent to your web browser, which then stores the information for later use. The next time you go to the same website, your browser will send the cookie to the web server. So browser will send the cookie to the web server. The message is sent back to the server each time the browser requests a page from the server. So your browser stores the information which you are providing. So that is called a cookie. It sends back to the web server each and every time when you go on to that website, your browser will indicate the server to provide the informations. Clear all of you? Any doubts in cookies? Next, firewall. Firewall is a network security device that monitors incoming and outgoing network traffic. See, as I told you, the topic itself is network security. So here we are going to see how to secure our network. There are what are the things which are going to affect the network. We saw the programs, the program threats, the attacks. What is going to be done in a system? We saw now. Now, how to secure our computer, how to secure a network is what we are going to see. So we can secure a device or a network through a device called firewall. This firewall may either be a hardware or a software. You may have a program also in the form of a software. You may have some set of programs to secure your network, or you may have a manually connected firewall device also to secure your network. See, many IT companies, they when they have a very large network framed by them. They have a LAN network as well as MAN networks also. But each and every company, they have to get secured with their own data and informations of their particular network. Nobody should get into their data, or their information has to be secure. The data has to be secure. So when they wanted to have a secured data services, they would prefer a firewall. This firewall may be a hardware or a software device. So what is the purpose of this firewall is used to prevent unauthorized access. Anybody who is not authorized to that network will be prevented. So that is, a firewall is used to prevent unauthorized access to or from the internet and computer network. A firewall acts as a barrier between a trusted network and an untrusted network. A firewall controls access to the resources of a network through a positive control model. This means that the only traffic allowed onto the network is defined in the firewall policy. All other traffic is denied. So look at the picture here. It is a hardware or software or a combination of both. It may be both also, used to prevent unauthorized programs or internet users from accessing a private network. So normally you use passwords, right? For your mobiles, you are using passwords or patterns or your fingerprints. For what purpose you use it? You are securing your data, right? So that is nothing but a program. It is a firewall. That patterns or passwords or your face unlock or fingerprints are nothing but your firewalls in the form of programs. Similarly, there are devices also to secure your data, that is called a firewall. Look at this picture even. See here, incoming data as well as outgoing data are secured by a firewall. When unwanted data, your network is your private network. When unwanted data reaches your network from any wide area networks, or suppose any unwanted data has to reach over your wide area networks, so both incoming and outgoing data is being traced out, and it is being controlled with the traffic, and it is prevented if it is unwanted. IT Act, Information Technology Act 2000. See, when such that when we wanted to secure networks, first of all, when a network is being framed, the network has to be when a network is framed, that network has to be created in proper way, following some rules and regulations or following some laws. Okay, so what is that law? We'll see. Information Technology Act 2000, also known as an IT Act, is an act proposed by the Indian Parliament, reported on 17th October 2000. It is a most important law in India dealing with cybercrime and e-commerce. So this IT Act law has to and they have proposed this law especially for cybercrime and e-commerce. So the people who uses cyberspace means who uses network or who do e-commerce. E-commerce means electronic commerce, which is nothing but doing for commercial purposes, for business activities when we use network. So the people who uses business who uses network for e-commerce or for any cyber activities, they have to follow these laws. So that is called Information Technology Act. The main objective of this act is to carry lawful and trustworthy electronic, digital, and online transactions. So the online transactions or electronic digital transactions have to be trustworthy, means only believable, only the transactions which are properly using the laws, who are abide to use the rules, abide to the rules, only those individuals or any organizations can use the network. Intellectual property rights. What is this intellectual property rights? Intellectual property rights are the rights given to each and every person for the creations of new things according to their minds. See, you may be a specialized person in music, or you may be a specialized person in drawing. So each and everyone has got their own rights to create their own creativities, right? It may be a music, it may be a writing script, any writing scripts, or it may be or drawing or whatever. It may be a creation of a software, whatever it is. So each and every person has got their own right to for their own creativity. So you have created a software, then you are the owner of the software. No one has got a right to own your software. They don't have the rights to own your own software. Okay, they cannot just tell that I have created. You are the owner, you are the creator, so you have got the rights. That is called intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights are the legal rights that cover the benefits given to individuals who are the owners and inventors of a work and have created something unique with their intellectual creativity or capability. Every person related to areas such as literature, music, invention, etc. can be granted such rights. So, any person may get intellectual property rights, which can then be used in the business practices by them. What are intellectual properties? Industrial designs, scientific discoveries, protection against unfair competition, literary, artistic, and scientific works, inventions in all fields, trademarks, service marks, commercial names, and designations. Trademarks are nothing but, see, each company may have their own trademarks. For example, Hindustan, you may have look at the logo of Hindustan. So that logo cannot be used by any other organizations. So they have got the patent rights to use that particular logo for their own organization alone. So none of the other organizations can have the same logo. So they have got their patent rights. That is called intellectual property rights. See, IPR is nothing but copyrights, trade secrets, patent, trademarks. Cyber law, the name itself says cyber means what? The network. So cyber law, you have to follow certain rules and regulations, laws to use the network. It is also called IT law. As I told you, when we speak about IT law, I told you cyber law. Called IT law is a law regarding information technology, including computers and internet. It is related to legal informatics and supervises the digital circulation of information, software, information security, and e-commerce. Importance of cyber law. It covers all transaction over internet. So the cyber law is a set of people who is always governing the transactions over the internet. It keeps eyes on all activities over internet. It touches every action and every reaction in cyberspace. So each and every activities over internet is being traced out by someone who is by someone legally. That is cyber law. Here are some advantages of cyber law. So with this cyber law, now organizations are now able to carry out e-commerce using the legal infrastructure provided by the act. And government also are able to issue notification through the web, through e-governance. Cybercrime. Cybercrime means the crimes which are happening through network. So that is cybercrime. It is a use of a computer as a weapon for committing crimes such as committing fraud, stealing the identity, or breaching privacy. Cybercrime, especially through the internet, has grown in importance as a computer has become central to every field like commerce, entertainment, and government. So as the technology grows, crimes also grows up. So cybercrimes also grows up. So there are people especially there for notifying the cybercrime alone. So all crimes which happens in the crime has got a separate department for cybercrime which traces out the illegal activities moving on over the internet. Prevention of cybercrime. Use trusted antiviruses in devices. So if you wanted to avoid cybercrimes from devices, use proper antivirus, strong passwords, social media, keep your social medias private, keep your device software updated. Hacking. What is hacking? Hacking refers to activities that seek to compromise digital devices such as computers, smartphones, tablets, and even entire networks. Hacking is nothing but, as I told you, stealing of data from any device is called hacking. It may be a malicious program or hackers. Who is a hacker? The person who does this hacking is called a hacker who steals data from a device. See, we cannot say that hacking is an illegal process. So it is used both for legal purposes as well as illegal purposes. Nowadays, most references to hacking and hackers characterize it or them as unlawful activity by cyber criminals motivated by financial gain. So through these hackers, what they do, they steal data from the network for financial gain. So when that becomes in that process, that becomes an illegal activity. To better describe hacking, one needs to first understand hackers. One can easily assume them to be intelligent and highly skilled in computers. In fact, breaking a security system requires more intelligence and expertise than actually creating one. See, breaking a system is very difficult than creating it. So, more intelligence we need to break a network. However, in general, computer parlance, we call them white hats, black hats. So, hackers are called white hat hackers, black hat hackers. Who are these white hat and black hats? White hat professionals have to check their own security system. Suppose an organization have designed their network security, they have to check their security systems, or sometimes they themselves have to move on into their own secured network, so they become white hat hackers. For example, when you go out of your house, you lock your house and go. It is for some security, some safety purpose. When you lock your house, sometimes you may lose a key of your house. You may lose a key. What do you do at that time? You may create a duplicate key for your own house and you may enter inside. So you are the owner and you are the owner who created the network security, and you are the one who is entering into the network security illegally, right? So that is called white hat professionals. When the The creator itself intervened into the particular network for some security reasons. They are called white hat professionals. Black hat hackers hack to take control over the system for personal gains. Black hat hackers do it for illegal purposes for their own personal gains. They can destroy, steal, or even prevent authorized users from accessing the system. They do this by finding loopholes and weaknesses in the system. See, black hat hackers are very dangerous. They steal data from the system, from your mobile or from your bank accounts or from your computer networks. So, with this topics, we have come to the end of the session, children. So, let us just recall what are the topics we saw today. They are threats, prevention from viruses, worms, Trojan horse, spams, use of cookies, firewall, IT Act, cyber law, cyber crimes, IPR issues, and hacking. So we have come to the end of the session. Classwork notes have been given to you. Write those classwork notes in your classworks and prepare well for your online test too. Thank you, students.